Hello, everybody, and welcome to Daytona Beach, Florida. We are excited to kick off not only the 75th year of NASCAR, but the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season. Speed Weeks is such an incredible time down here in Daytona, and Media Day starts things off for our NASCAR Cup Series drivers. I am Alex Weaver. This is Mamba Smith, and we're here in the 500 Club talking to your favorite drivers and getting a feel of what this 65th annual running of the Daytona 500 is going to be like. But we're going to kick things off right here, get it rocking and rolling. A name that has become quite the favorite here when it comes to the Daytona 500. He has 3 of the last 7 Daytona 500 trophies. He's the only repeat winner in the last 13 years. Driver number 11, Denny Hamlin. Welcome to Daytona. Good to be back,
Thank you. Appreciate it. Always good to be back.
We were talking a little bit before we started rolling here. I asked you if you were ready for 4. You're the only driver in the field right now that could have 4 Daytona 500 wins. The only drivers that have ever done it are Richard Petty and Cale Yarborough. So have you thought about 4? What will 4 look like?
I do. It's, people ask all the time, like, well, are you as motivated for 2 as you were 1 or 3 as you were 1 or 2? Absolutely, because it keeps moving you up the ladder of, like, the upper echelon elite super speedway racers. So especially as hard as it is today. I mean, when Petty won all those, like, there was maybe 5 cars on the lead lap. It was way, way different. So we're having to battle everyone and not get in wrecks, and it's just such a different landscape than it used to be. So it's I'm proud of each and every one. They all have a special place in my heart, that's for sure.
You guys at 2311, you guys got a lot going on. You bringing in Travis Pastrana, man. Like, I gotta ask, where did that conversation come from? It seemed out of left field for everybody, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Travis, came to us, and certainly with the manufacturer alliance that he has, it made sense for him to come to us. And for us, we wanted to get our toes wet in a third team anyway on a part-time basis. And so this actual race gives us the most time to prepare. It'd be very hard for us to start a third team in the middle of the season when we got the grind going on each and every week. So we actually had the most time to prepare for this event, so it made the most sense for us to just go ahead and do it here.
I want to revisit last season, and I'm not trying to bring up a sour point in the season for you, but it was the first time ever in your career that you crashed out of the Daytona 500, and you talked on your podcast about it. It may take a little luck to win 1, but after 2 or 3, it's not luck anymore. It's a type of skill. So for folks that don't know this skill and the type of mind reading and intuition that you have to have in the race car, what's that like on Sunday?
It is. And I mean, that's why we saw probably the greatest driver ever here, Dale Earnhardt, only win it once, because there's 3 facets that it takes to win, right? I believe it's about 30% luck. I believe the driver plays about 50% of the result, and then the other 20 is execution. You have to execute. You have to have a really good skill set. You have to execute, and then have the luck, which is don't cause a wreck, don't get involved in someone else's wreck, right? If you can do all 3 of those, you will win the race on Sunday. But it's so hard. I mean, it's like picking the pick 3 in your local lottery. Like, it's hard to get all those numbers to line up on any given day. All I make sure I try to do is control that 70%, and hopefully the 30 will come along for the ride.
You talk about execution, and this is I think a lot of people don't realize how much of a team sport this is, because you got to execute on the racetrack. That's your job, but then your guys got to come over the wall and execute on pit road, and the spotter, especially here. Can you kind of give us a little insight about working with your spotter and how important the information you're getting from him on the top is coming to you?
Well, especially in the next gen, we can see less out of our car than we ever have. Like, there's not much I can see, so it's up for the spotter to paint me the picture of what is going on behind me, because we don't draft from the front. We're not looking to, like, hey, if I just get behind this guy, I'll get a good draft and get a push. It doesn't work that way. You draft from behind, so I'm constantly trying to put my car right in front of somebody's front bumper to get a run. So I don't have time to look around and find it. He has to tell me the picture, and I can essentially see what's going on behind me by just listening to him storytell all day long. And so that's how that works. And really, I have to attribute a lot of my success on super speedways to my spotter, because really, when you look at my results for the first 11 years, they were a kind of sort of way. And then he came on board, and then we really started taking off. So I think that played a big factor, and me just learning over time experience and trial and error of what to do and what not to do.
We've heard that this race and the super speedway races, you have 5 career wins on them, but they've come down to a numbers game lately. It's how many teammates you have, not only with your Joe Gibbs Racing teammates in 2311, but also the Toyota branding on the other cars and working with your manufacturers. Do you expect the same after, working together last year in this next-gen car?
Yeah, and I think that, I think we probably learned the most from 2021 Daytona 500. We let the Fords dictate the end of that race. And, I won both stages, led the most laps, going for 3 in a row. And I come off pit road way ahead of the field because I executed too well on pit road. And then I got freight trained because I had nobody to drive with because we came off pit road so fast. And then I got to the back of the pack, and there was 8 Fords in front of us. And, the 4 Toyotas or whatever that was in that pack, we didn't make a move. We were just like, well, surely these guys are going to get out and make a move here soon. They didn't, and it really handcuffed me and it didn't allow me to do anything. So I need the air disturbed. This whole, people running in single file line, I can't do much. When the air gets disturbed and cars start moving around, that's when I can start to find the pockets of air that I need to go forward. So the manufacturer stuff is important, but I think we learned a big lesson in 2021 to not let them dictate the race, even though we have less numbers than them.
You talk about being a disruptor, basically, is what you're talking about. Now, when the field is single file, right, like, how do you disrupt that? You know what I mean? Like, how do you you might go, but how do you get people to go with you? Is it more about Denny does a really good job here at the plate races, I want to follow him, or he has a really good car this week, so I'm going to go with, like, how do you do that?
No, that's a really good question and a really good point, because I found out early in my career, I'm like, well, the reason Dale Jr. is winning all the races is because everyone just follows him everywhere he goes. Like, sure, it's easy to go to the front when you just, hey, I'm pulling out, and here comes the whole field behind you. I have noticed people are starting to do that with me quite a bit. Like, I can make a move that I'm like, oh, I don't know, I think this is probably the wrong move. And next thing you know, you got help coming. Like, it is, I think you start to build in, people start to believe in what you're doing is right, if you have enough success at it. So I think I've kind of built up that rapport with the field that they make my wrong moves right sometimes. So I just think that you have to have, that's where experience really kind of plays a factor. And certainly if I'm in single file line now, I just keep going to the bottom. I don't care how many spots I'll lose. I just want someone to get antsy and say, all right, fine, I'm sick of running the line too, and I'll go with them.
Well, this is your 18th Daytona 500 start, and you have 3 Harley J. Earl trophies. Does it feel different every year, or is it, man, we're in Daytona, we're kicking the season off, I'm pumped to be back? What does it feel like?
I'm just so happy that I've won this race, honestly. I mean, the championship's one thing, but this race in particular, if I hadn't won this race in the course of my career, that would have been one I would have kicked myself pretty hard, because I think there's just you have this many shots at it. Like, surely I could get one, but to now have 3 is unbelievable, and it just makes me super proud. Every time I come into this racetrack, it just makes me feel very confident that I've got the skill set. I've got at least 50% of the result covered in the skill set. I just need the other 50 between execution and luck to happen.
All right, we only have a couple seconds left. Have you gotten in trouble yet for your podcast? What are we on, episode 2 or 3? You gotten any calls?
No, not at all. Everyone's been very happy, and I think NASCAR should be happy that I'm creating content that's in the top 5 of all sports podcasts right now. So
well, there's the phone call. We'll get it later. All right, Denny Hamlin going for 4 Daytona 500 wins, and he'll take to the racetrack on Sunday. All right, DH, thank you so much.
All right, thank you all.
We're going to keep it going here. Daytona 500 is always one of my favorite days, and Speed Weeks, obviously, is a little bit more condensed than what we're used to, but still the same feel when you come to Daytona Beach, and it starts getting really crowded around here on Thursdays. I can't wait.
My favorite, when I rolled in this morning, just seeing all the campers lined up, and everybody, there's a different energy for the Daytona 500. This guy coming up here, he's going to be able to talk to us about that a little bit.
We are going to now be joined by the reigning champ. I can continue to say this to him for the next 38 weekends, and it will no longer change, because until we reach Phoenix at the end of the season, he is our reigning champ. Ford has won the last 2 Daytona 500s. He signed a 5-year extension with Team Penske during the offseason. Welcome number 22 for Team Penske, Mr. Joey Logano.
Thank you.
How are
How's
you?
everybody? I'm trying to keep this thing on.
These are interesting. You have to work with these.
I know. I feel like I got to put the cord back in front. I tried to put it behind me to make it look better, and then it was pulling it off my head. This is a real thing.
Go with how you feel.
Champions.
I do. Now I do.
Champions.
I'm
They're
good.
just like us. Yeah. Okay, Joey. So we're kicking off this season. You're the reigning champ. So does it feel we have the swagger coming in this week? What's it feel like?
No, it's the same, Joey. Nothing's changed on that standpoint. I don't feel any different, right? Like, and I had this question a few times today. Is does it feel different being the reigning champ? No, like it's the goal's the same. The goal's to win the championship. It was last year, and it is this year. It doesn't have to be different or anything like that, or feel like everyone's out to get you because you just won the championship. I don't think it really matters. Like, I look at it and say we're previous champions. Like, I don't look at it as reigning champions that much. That's what happened last year. It's over. It's over. Like, it was great. We enjoyed it. But we need to stay hungry. We need to stay thirsty, keep going out there, getting more, and keep trying to get more victories and another championship.
So how long did you allow yourself to enjoy? You talk about it's over and you're already on to this year, but you took some time to enjoy the championship, right?
Oh, we definitely enjoyed it. Oh, for
Good.
sure.
Okay.
It was a weird moment. So, I saw you guys the night we won the championship. It was all great, right?
That was a good time.
And then it was a good time. The next morning, we wake up and, Hudson was out there with us. And, he's on the East Coast. So he's up at 5 in the morning. So I get up with him and we're there hanging out. Because he was flying home and I had to go to L.A.
Right.
So I dropped my wife and Hudson off at the airport, and then I had like an hour and a half to kill. So I went back to the bus, and I was there by myself, right? And it was like the day after you win the championship. Everyone's gone. The track's empty. It's just me and my bus sitting there. I'm like, this is weird. I was like, all right, this is what it's all about. Like all that, and here I am.
Yeah,
but we had some great times. Yeah, it was just kind of a funny moment for me. But being able to celebrate with the team when we got back home, that was really cool.
I want to imagine it being like Tom Cruise. You're like sliding with the socks and the shirt, like celebrating.
Just by myself.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire style. Just kinda hanging out.
No, it wasn't. I took a shower, turned on the TV for a minute, packed my bag, and went to L.A. I saw you in L.A.
I know, we did. We had a great time in Los Angeles. And then we kicked things off at the Clash a couple weeks ago. But now it's time for points are on the line, and this is the championship title. You mentioned the goal is no different. So you and Paul Wolfe somehow figured out this next-gen car like no other team. Is the familiarity there with this car, or is it still about, like, we have to come every week and figure out how to unload?
You just got to keep looking for more, right? I mean, if you look at last year going into the 500, we were blindfolded. We had no idea what we were up against as a sport and a team. And, you look at, you go through a whole year. We were lost for the first half of the year. Like, lost as last year's Easter egg. Like, really lost. And then we started kind of finding our way, but we still aren't all the way to where we were with the old car yet.
Okay.
And we still aren't there. There's still plenty of low-hanging fruit ahead of us. So we got to keep looking for that and not be, too content with some of the gains that we made and say that's like, our motto this year is never enough, right? That was one of our things that I really wanted to push on our team.
So we moved on from the 22 and 22.
22 and 22 was great.
Yep.
This year, never enough.
All right.
I like that.
Never enough.
Because I got a few questions on this about being content after a championship, right?
You?
Yes,
No.
I got it, and I hate that question. It kind of made me mad. And actually, this is where it all started. I went up to Ford's headquarters, and I met with Farley, their CEO. And the first thing he said to me, and I think he did this on purpose, but it got me. It really got me. He said, well, you probably won't have as good of a year next year. You won the championship. And so you're probably just, a little bit more comfortable. You're probably not as hungry as you used to be. And I'm like, and it just fired me up right then and there. I was like, what? Like, I'm expecting this, like, pat on the back. Thanks for winning the championship for us. This is great, all this stuff, right? And I just got that instead. And I was like, oh. So then I was like, you know what? This is what people think. Now I have a chip on my shoulder, and I'm a little pissed off. And I'm like, this is good. And I need that. So never enough. That's where we're at.
That's one of those like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan moments. He's like sitting there. Joey's like, I took that personal.
Yeah.
And he's gonna. He did.
I
He
did.
did.
I totally did.
I love that for you. So talk about that fire because coming from the Clash, that place just invokes that and now we're here. So how do you go from the type of fire that you raced with at the Clash to Daytona, where it's really a big chess match?
Yeah, I mean, it's still an intense race, and there's a lot of things that can happen throughout the 500 miles here, and there's nothing like winning the Daytona 500, right? I mean, you put this is a big stage, right? This is as big as it gets.
The biggest, yeah.
We don't have media days for the next race. It's just this one.
Auto Club media day.
And there's media day for the Championship 4 in Phoenix and the Daytona 500.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And there's 40 drivers that can win this one, right? It's not just 4. So this becomes a ginormous race, a race that you want to have your name on that trophy as many times as possible. The history that goes along with it, what it means for a race team to say they won the Daytona 500. The check that comes along with it is great. So you really want to have that too.
The ring, get a ring.
The ring, yeah, the rings are good. Checks are better, but rings are good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see a lot of skill when it comes to this racetrack, but I guess I'm shouting out your spotter, and I'm shouting you out because Coleman Presley, if you guys are unfamiliar with Coleman, you need to listen to Joey's radio on Sunday. It's phenomenal. You will learn so much about this race, but Coleman is such a great spotter, but you won him a race spotting for him at Hickory Motor Speedway. Coleman wins the race with Joey Logano as his spotter. So you want to climb up there and just switch roles?
I was stoked. No, I don't want to switch roles at all. But it was funny. I was up there, and it's funny the amount of trash talk that I'm willing to say to people when I'm not driving the car.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I talked so much crap to these other spotters up there, saying that he was going to dump them and move them and all this stuff. Right? I don't know what he's going to do, but I had fun. And then so it was a great race. It was a 200-lap race.
Yeah.
At Hickory.
The
Fall Brawl.
Fall Brawl, yep.
And Coleman hasn't really driven a car in a while, so after his test, he tested in Crocs, by the way, because he didn't have racing shoes.
No, he did not.
But you believe this,
I
knowing
1000%
Coleman,
believe
he is some of Asheville's finest.
Yeah.
So you would definitely, my mountaineer was out there. He was going, and he started in the back, and he kind of like worked his way up. Halfway through the race, there's a halfway break. He gets out of the car. He's the only driver that gets out of the car, right? Because it's like a 5-minute break change. He's out of the car, suit's undone. You know, like, all right, buddy. Like, and then like he had the green-white checker for the win. A very intense race. I was excited. I was ready to high-five people up there. No one wanted to high-five me because it's the competitors,
shocker.
right? But
Yeah.
I was ready to go. Shocker, screw you. But it was really cool.
Did he request as many details? Did you talk similarly to him?
I tried to,
Okay.
and I couldn't. It's really hard to
It is hard.
visually see something and put it into words like that. Like
Yeah.
I was really off, and like I can do that when things were like I can see it happening. Like I've watched enough race enough to kind of know what was going to happen before it happens. But it's the moments like when there's someone spinning out, and I was like, oh, and then like that's all that would come out is oh, high low, oh, you're past it already. Okay, that's what happened a couple of times. So I can't do that part really well.
Yeah, that's all right.
No.
That's fantastic.
All right, well,
Hard to do.
Our reigning champ here for this rest of the season. I know that the goal is obviously the championship, but this is a big year for NASCAR. It's the 75th year anniversary. What would it mean to win the championship in a monumental year like this one where we're celebrating the sport and all the legends of the sport?
It doesn't matter what year you win it.
Okay.
Winning is big at any point. It'd be great. I mean, to answer your question, twice as good as it was last year, I guess, or 3 times as good, I guess, at that
Yeah.
point. So, I mean, it's big. It is the only goal I have when the season starts. I don't have a goal of saying we need to win X amount of races, we need a certain amount of top 5s. No, it's win the championship. That's it. Simple. Done. Like that's all we have to do, which is as high as you can set your goals, by the way. But that's what we want to do. And so, whether it's the 75th year or the 50th year or the 76th year, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? The trophy's there, and your name's in history when you win this thing. So, goal's the same.
All right, our 2022 champ. Never enough for Joey Logano. And Joey Logano fans, if you guys come to any of the racetracks throughout the year, bring him food. He's still hungry. He's still wants
That chicken parm.
Okay, Joey, I'm going to let you hop up. You're free to go.
All
Enjoy
right,
the rest
thanks.
of media day.
Thanks, buddy.
So we know that Joey is never satisfied with unless it's a win, unless it's a championship. But I'm excited to see what he and Paul Wolf can do. Back-to-back is a possibility for the 22.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you just heard him. He's hungry. He is locked in, ready to get another championship. And now if you're the rest of the field hearing that, you're like, oh, boy. Especially after the clash, he ain't messing around.
All right, so a driver who was at the highest of highs for the 2022 season, Joey Logano, now going to a driver who must qualify for 4 open spots with no practice. I'm not going to add any more pressure than what I'm sure he's already going through right now. We know him for being a legendary stunt driver and an extreme sports star. We're welcoming back now in the number 67 for 2311 Racing, Travis Pastrana.
Thanks for having me.
We're excited
no
to
pressure.
have you back.
First
no
time
pressure.
out of second gear in a cup car. Let's just pit it in Daytona.
Yeah, exactly. So we obviously have to talk about that. You have 4 spots available for the Great American Race on Sunday. You're trying to just get one of them. How do you even concentrate on that, knowing the pressure of this race?
Oh, there's some amazing drivers. But for us, there's not a lot of pressure because it's just I always want to be a part of the Great American Race. It's been something that I think every kid that's motorhead that loves motorsport, has watched the Daytona. It's basically for us. It's friends and family. Like, this is a holiday, and we've been coming down. I actually went and I raced all the late model races and the modified races, and actually had some good results there. Got a gator. So
got a dub.
Yeah, I was super pumped. But at the end of the day, we're out here. I've got a great team with the 2311, and we've had a little bit of time on the simulator. It's another great reason to go with those guys, and all the Black Rifle guys and the Dixon for sponsors. They're down here. They've been down here for the last 2 weeks, just hanging out, having fun. We're living the life, and with any luck, we'll be in the main.
Man, it's so good to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you since you were running the K&N stuff back in the day. So welcome back to the show. Why? That's my question. Just
why not?
Just why? And you know what I mean? Like, it's great to see you.
No, but at the end of the day, we came off a U.S. Rally Championship, in 21, and then won the Rallycross Championship as well. It was the first time ever I've been able to out-qualify the world champion on an all-pavement track. Been doing, Mount Washington Hill Climb and Pikes Peak and all of these events that are super fast, high speed in pavement vehicles. Granted, it's all-wheel drive. When in doubt, throttle out is a little different than 200 mile an hour in a NASCAR. But with all the sponsorship and everybody that we have right now, I feel like I have the most seat time I've ever had. If I'm going to try to be a part of this race, this is the year to do it, and couldn't be happier to be with the 2311 team.
Well, you mentioned that team, and it's obviously been such a high storyline for our sport, bringing one of the greatest athletes of all time with Michael Jordan pairing up with Denny Hamlin. How did Michael Jordan DM? Did Denny DM? Did we slide in? Did we get phone calls? What happened to get this deal done?
It's been something that I've wanted to get into 500 since before I started racing a while ago, and I got sidetracked thinking that I could actually be a champion in NASCAR. And as it turns out, pavement and rear-wheel drive is not my specialty, but this is a different track. It's a restrictor plate race, and I learned a lot from Scott Speed over the past couple years. He's like, look, you can only go as fast as you can go. Don't try to go faster. Whatever that is, he's like, stick with it, come in the pits, have those guys adjust. And we started talking, and we're like, do charters or what? And Denny, we called up Denny, and he said, and him and Michael are two most competitive people on the face of the earth.
Yes.
And he said, look, we believe that you have the skills to get out there to help us win. Whether that's Tyler, whether that's Bubba, whether that's Denny, whether that's a Toyota, like, we want to give you a car capable of qualifying in the field, and we want you up there supporting us. And, if all else fails at the end of the day, like, yeah, I'm a driver. I hope to win too. But it's just, for me, there's not a lot of pressure there. I'm coming in, if I don't qualify, I'll cry myself to sleep probably for the rest of my life. But looking at the other drivers, I mean, they're all definitely they're phenomenal. And if even Jimmie Johnson, Connor Daly called. He's like, "Hey, I'm in." I'm like, "Great, the guy with the fastest time ever at Indy Motor Speedway, sweet, yeah, come on in, let's join."
Talk about that a little bit. Like, you have driven everything. I feel like that is out there. The skill set to do this. Jeff Burton once told me it's more precision. It's like being a doctor. You got to hit your marks, and everything is like very intricate. And you coming from a place where you can kind of hang it out a lot, and hanging it out makes speed. So talk about that different skill set a little bit.
The dirt, and I think that's why we were able to pick up the dirt, quicker evolution down the road there earlier this week. You don't lose as much time by being too aggressive.
Right.
So I always start on the side of being too aggressive. But having said that, restrictor plate racing is a little bit different. It's more of a game of chess. It's having the knowledge and the information. And like I said, with this team, we're coming on, and there was a 193-page report that I just got 2 days ago, and it's not like book on tape. It's been intense. Stuff that I had no idea about NASCAR, and even just things that we can do in the vehicle. It's been a huge learning experience. I am honored to have the opportunity to try to qualify for this race and to be lined up against the best drivers in the world.
Well, you have had no experience on this racetrack in a NASCAR Cup car, so it's going to be different. But I found a quote from all the press that you've done over the last couple of weeks that you were excited to do this because obviously this is a new car for us. It's the next-gen car. It's the sophomore season, the second season for this car. We do the sequential shifter. No, it's not the four pattern.
Not the H pattern. Sequential box.
So,
a couple of guys. Robbie Benton actually called me, one of the team owners, and talking about the Clash last year. He's like, these guys don't have a lot of experience with sequential gearbox. He's like, that's all you use. And it would have been great to jump in last year because even Denny was like, yeah, I really messed up my shift, and then I forgot to shift to fifth in the back and this and that. I'm like, man, last year would have been the year to come.
But you have experience with that for rally, and did that make you, was that kind of the instigator of I can do this, we're going to settle into this, or do you not care what you're driving?
Nah, to be honest, to put it back at the top of my list, but these drivers are phenomenal, and they're not going to take any time to get used to anything. And like Joey said, everyone's like, oh, no practice. Like, it kind of is what it is. Yeah, I would like to know that at 190 miles an hour, if it was going to push your slide or what was going to happen. But as a driver, we're going to figure that out, and we're all going to figure it out together in turn one. Luckily on our own for the open qualifying first. But, I think I've got a car that can get me there if I can put down a lap that I believe I can put down. And if not, we'll duel it out, and we'll see what happens.
I feel like Travis is like the Cowboy Cerrone of motorsports. Cowboy would just fight anytime, anywhere. Travis is like, it's got an engine?
Oh.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go
I don't
do
even
it.
think he needs an engine. It could be like a grocery cart out in the parking lot, and Travis is going to be like, yeah, let's race.
Sadly, I've been competitive at everything, and now with 2 little girls, I'm a cheer dad. So, yeah, that's
great. Oh, man.
So when you're not racing, obviously we know that you're a dad, but what are you doing? Are you just trying to race more? Does life just look like I'm going to wake up and figure out what I can race today?
So the last couple years, and thanks for Ken Block allowed me the opportunity to race or to do the Gymkhana series, and it's been a race every weekend. Even I've raced every single weekend this year. We had 2 races in Canada, 1 in Sweden. 5 races already last week in Volusia down the street on and all new stuff, all different stuff, and been able to jump in and be pretty competitive in whatever we've been doing. And seat time is definitely key. But my goal in the future is to spend more time at home. And right now, having raced every weekend of this past year since recovering from a broken back earlier in the year, I said this is the most prepared I will ever be to go against the best drivers in the world, and I'm definitely excited to give it a go.
Can you give me a little bit of that mindset? Like, that's a warrior mindset. Like,
not being afraid of anything.
Yeah, like you've broken probably almost every bone in your body that you could, and like to train and be prepared to do something, anything after that is hard.
Are you scared of anything?
Yeah,
snakes,
like
heights, anything? Spiders?
I'm scared of a lot, honestly, but it's not injury. I feel like I'm more nervous lining up. Even it doesn't matter if it's a go-kart race for $1. Like, I'm really competitive, and that's where the nerves come from. It doesn't come from worrying about being hurt or worrying about whatever could happen. At the end of the day, I love to challenge myself. And most drivers or riders or whatever they're doing, when they get to the top of their sport, they want to stay on top. I'm like, well, no, like if I'm the favorite, I don't want to do it anymore. Like let's try something else. Let's challenge. Let's keep jumping in the deep end. And through that, I mean, we took 5th at World Finals at Monster Jam, and that was that might have been the craziest thing ever done. It's been fun.
Is there anything that you would still like to try?
I got to drive a Top Fuel car last year, which was awesome.
That's
Tony
cool.
Stewart actually took me under his wing.
Yeah.
It's
cool.
been interesting, but I'd love to try to win the Baja 1000. I'd love to race the car. But at the end of the day, this is the top of my bucket list since the time I can even remember being alive. And to have the opportunity to be here with such amazing sponsors on such an amazing team is truly a dream come true. And if I can just drive within my my abilities, wherever that is, and we can qualify, it's going to be an awesome week.
Hey, man, you get in the show, and you never know. You just got to get there.
That's the goal.
I want to venture into just qualifying, and obviously the duel. Qualifying will be tonight. We know we have duel 1 and duel 2 tomorrow. What's the goal? Is it we're gonna put down the fastest qualifying speed that we can. We're going to race our way into the duel. Have you thought about what the path is going to look like to Sunday?
No, the goal is to do the best we can at every moment. It's to be as most prepared as we possibly can. I've got, like I said, the amount of homework that this Toyota 2311 team has given me has been amazing. And, I'll be the most prepared I ever have. I got Hedleski as a spotter. And, we're running the truck series as well. So, we're going to go out and when everyone else is practicing before the duels, they'll be getting out there and running together. I'll be practicing pit stops because that's something that, I wouldn't have had the opportunity. So trying to use every bit of track time that I have to help everything else that we do. And, hopefully it'll be a good week.
That's what I was going to ask you is from a preparation, you said you're the most prepared you've ever been. What have you been using, like sim, obviously, probably with Toyota, but what about iRacing? Have you been dabbling with that? Like, what have we been using?
Been any moment that I haven't been in a real car, I've been basically in iRacing. And my friend Jim's house, and he's got two sims set up next to each other, and it's been a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, the Toyota team has given me access to the simulator. So we've got, probably 5 hours of simulator time, which, it doesn't show you running in traffic. It doesn't show a lot of stuff. But as far as hitting my marks, I believe I can do it. I believe that I have the skills in the car to hopefully qualify. But we won't know until we're out there, and there's not a lot that I can do. As far as preparation in the car, like I said, I've never been out of second gear in a Cup car. So it's going to be really – and they take the suspension off. I didn't know that. The right side suspension is off. Yeah. They're like, it's going to vibrate your teeth out. You're going to be going down. You're not going to be able to see anything. It's going to be all over the place. I'm like, great. They're like, and when you come across, just in case you're top 10, don't hit the brakes. If you even put your foot rested on the brakes, you're not going to have a time in the top 40. I'm like, really? This all sounds like a lot.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Good thing you ran that monster truck. I know you're shaking around in that thing. So
just don't get scared. Just don't.
Get scared.
Brake means nothing.
All right. Well, we are rooting for you. Good luck tonight in qualifying, and
Thank you very much.
welcome back to NASCAR.
Thank you.
Back
Great
to the
talk
show,
to you.
bro.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so we're going to let Travis, he's a very popular guy here in the room, and we're going to continue on with our Media Day coverage. But we look at the likes of who's trying to qualify for this race. Travis is one of those, and he is just such a legendary motorsports, not just a fan, but a driver, an owner. Anything you want to get involved with, he's the man. But we have Jimmie Johnson, who will be joined later on in the show. The 7-time champ is trying to qualify for the Daytona 500. Connor Daly. There's 6 drivers that are trying to fill those 4 spots. Imagine the pressure.
I mean, you talking about the spots, Zane Smith, Chandler Smith, so it's everybody that's trying to make this race. They're good race car drivers. They are very good at what they do and at their discipline. And to bring that over here and to try and compete with the best drivers in the world, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to put that in perspective. And to listen to Travis and honestly Joey and Denny talk about their mindset of just how hungry they are and what this means to them. It's the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest races in the entire world, if not the biggest, and everyone wants a piece of it.
For Sunday, obviously we can check that box if Travis or Connor or Zane or Jimmy, whoever, are the 4 cars that are qualifying to make it in there. But when you get out here and you run that type of race, as intimidating as this place is, I mean, just me walking in here, I'm like, man, this scares me to death just coming for the Daytona 500. But what does it mean for a driver to walk into this place?
Man, the first time I came here, I think I watched Jeff Gordon win, and I was probably like 8 or 10, and it was just like, this place is just different. It's holy ground. And then when the lights are on and the cars are running and you just see the fans that are coming in and they're packed in with their campers and the kids are running around and everyone's smiling and happy and sharing drinks, and it's just a great place to be. And as a driver, there's no place that you want to compete more than at the Daytona 500.
For sure. Okay, well, a driver entering his final full-time season. 2001 was his NASCAR Cup Series rookie year. He's our 2014 Cup Series champion, 60 Cup wins. He'll reach his 800th start at Talladega this season. He's our 2007 Daytona 500 winner, Mr. Kevin Harvick, driving the number 4 for the final year. Can we please say it's not so? Just say you're kidding.
No.
He
There's
can't.
no kidding.
He can't. Delano would kill him. He can't say he's kidding.
There's no kidding. Yeah. For me, I wanted to make sure that when I was done because I think it looks so silly when you come back
the
and
Tom Brady effect.
You start and then stop and then restart and stop and then restart. And that was one thing that Mark Martin told me. He's like, just make sure that when you're done, you need to make sure that you're in a very good spot to be done, because
it's not what you think it is when you stop. And so that probably got me another 3 or 4 years out of myself to make sure that you did it the right way. And I think when you go back and you look at people's last year, I think that the respect that you get for doing it as long as you could to make a transition, and obviously I'm going to make a transition to the booth because we had a plan, and we did we did make that decision as we went along the way, but this is it. There's no more Daytona 500s. There's no more one-offs, because I know that you can't be good at this if you don't do it every week.
Right.
There is no way that you can keep up with the progression of this sport and jump in the car 5 or 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, however many times even if you do 20 of the 36 races, you cannot keep up with the evolution of what these teams and drivers do on a week-to-week basis to keep pushing the needle and moving the needle forward.
I know because I came by the house and you were in your office last year and you were like, man, look at this book. This book is all the stuff that I'm reading. So like, how much did you learn over last year? Because you guys got better. We made gains. And what are you bringing in from last year to this year to make more gains in your last year?
Well, I think the biggest thing that you bring in this year is just the knowing that there's no unknown.
Yeah.
Last year, you didn't really I wasn't comfortable shifting the car. I didn't like the pedals. I didn't,
Oh, you weren't happy, Harvick.
No. Well, you just didn't know, right?
Yeah.
So you had to go relearn how to utilize things, and there were a lot of things that you had to learn how to do again, and there were different styles of braking than what you're used to because the way that the pedal feels and how big the caliper is, and so there was just you felt like you were a kid all over again trying to learn, moving from one division to another division. Okay, what does this car do? What are the tendencies of this? And so I think as we went through the year, myself and Rodney and the team, we really kind of settled in and saying, okay, we can't do this and we can't do that, and now we need to just transition into saying, okay, this is where we're going to start, and this is working, and we got to just move on from the old car and the things that made it tick, because there's really nothing that makes this car tick that's like the other car.
I always find pleasure in kind of the victory tour where they announce it early in enough time to where we can celebrate our legends. Jimmie Johnson had a great, retirement year where he was retiring from full-time racing. Obviously he's back, so he's not a very good retiree, but have you thought about what each week is going to look like when you get to go to these racetracks and feel the feelings and the emotions of possibly the last time that you're racing here, and seeing the race fans, and they've obviously celebrated you and been so kind to you over your career, but have you thought about each week?
Well, I had to think about a lot of things because I didn't really want to think about them at all. I wanted to just get to the last race and say, whoop, that's it. See ya. But that's the easy way out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And, the thing that I realized as I went through the process was you can't do that. And there's just way too many things attached to what I've been fortunate to do for so many years, and fortunately be successful, and fortunately have a fan base, and all the things that you've established over the past 22 years. Year 23 needs to be some sort of celebration of everything that you've done. And it still feels weird for me to say that because I don't like talking about my situation, the things that we've been able to accomplish. But there are a lot of those things out there that people have enjoyed, and lives that you've touched, and people in the hospital, and whatever it may be. You don't realize the impact that it has on people's lives. And you really start thinking about it. It's not just the race fans. It's the sponsors. It's the teams. It's the tracks. It's your family. It's your friends. It's the media. Everybody has stories. And, I think this, for me, how do we tell that story of the past 30 years? And how do you, talk about those things and tell the fans and people in the industry about things that they didn't know, and why are you running this helmet that has this paint scheme on it? Everything has a meaning this year, and we tried to do all that really early, so it was all out there for the fans and the media, and whether you wanted to come to a race or buy a piece of merchandise or tell a story or whatever it is. All right, here's the platform, here's the slogan for the tour, here racetracks, you can use it, NASCAR, you can use it, media, you can use it. And whatever comes with that, and on a week-to-week basis. And we've tried to put everything out there and tried to put ourselves in a position to where it can be celebrated, but we can be competitive. And we can focus on the competition side of things because we had a proper plan.
I know, obviously, you're from, out west, so California Auto Club, probably close. That's probably your home track, right? Would you say that?
Yeah.
But you've had a lot of good times at Phoenix. So, just ask what track, when you hit it for the last time, what one do you think is going to hit you a little bit different?
I think Phoenix will probably hit a little bit different because it's the last race.
Yep.
We've been so fortunate to have so much success at that particular racetrack. It's really, on the West Coast, it's kind of your Daytona of the West Coast.
Yeah.
So going out there and having all those memories, I think I ran my first race there in 1994, 95. My grandpa used to wait at the back gate for me before I would go on the racetrack. He'd go over there a month early and park his motorhome so that he could sit on the on the dirt road that used to go into the backstretch, and he'd be standing in the chain link fence smoking a cigarette waiting for you to drive by in the dually and the trailer. So Phoenix is that racetrack has a lot of history and a lot of meaning to me personally, and so that'll be it's kind of fitting that it's the last one to be able to go to.
Well, before we move on to Sunday and the Great American Race, part of your reasoning too is that you want to go home and be a dad. Do Piper and Keelan realize that this is the final year that they get to take rides in the cars and get checkered flags and hang out with Dad at the racetrack until Keelan is a driver?
Yeah, well we've definitely had that conversation with Piper about the rides in the cars, but Piper she'd be perfectly happy if I just called it quits today and didn't go to another race, because she's on the side of the fence that she's like, why do you have to go do that? I don't understand. Just be done with it, Dad. And Keelan's on the other side of the fence. He's like, I don't understand why you would quit. Why would you quit racing? You should keep racing until you're way older than you are now. And so, trying to hearing the different perspectives is great from them, because of the fact that they're so vastly different from one side to the other.
It's so funny because Piper, if you don't know
Piper's
Piper,
sass. I love Piper.
Piper is a little ball of fire, and she can has been having full-blown conversations with me since she was 3, and I'm like, how are we communicating like this? So when I can believe it with Piper being like, Dad, just quit. Just done.
Yeah.
Just done.
I tell Keelan all the time. I said it's going to be maybe another 2 years, and you and your sister are going to be doing the same schoolwork, because she's way smarter than you are and way more into school than you are. So it won't be long, and they'll be in about the same grade.
All right. Well, finally, before we let you go, Sunday, obviously we know that this is the Great American Race, and it's the 65th annual running of the Daytona 500, but what's it going to take to get the 4 in Victory Lane on Sunday? And we just can really kick this victory tour off with a bang.
Yeah, that'd be great. But I think that the biggest key is to keep it rolling. That's going to be the biggest key is keep hopefully we have a fast car, but hopefully we can just keep it rolling. So that's always the biggest battle that we have, is to keep the wheels on the car so that they're going in the right direction.
All right. Well, both of us are honored to know you as a person, know you as a driver, and we're honored to be covering your last Daytona 500 Media Day.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Enjoy it.
Thank you.
See you, Kev.
So Kevin Harvick, final full-time season. He'll be in the number 4 for Stewart-Haas Racing. Obviously, later tonight will be qualifying and then the duel, and then he'll be there on Sunday for the Great American Race. It's the final time we will see Kevin Harvick run laps in the Daytona 500. It makes me so sad.
He seemed very definitive, too, about
he is
not coming back. And I know this because I've been talking to Delana for a couple of years, and she's like, no, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, he just won 9 races. He ain't done.
He has 29 wins over the age of 40.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
Okay, well, Kevin Harvick is retiring, and a driver who I personally cried about when he retired a handful of years ago is now joining us back. He might be the worst retiree of all time, and he's going to be hobbing in the number 84 for Legacy Motorsports, the man that needs no introduction, the 7-time champion, Mr. Jimmie Johnson. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm just going to say, what was it, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I stood up on this stage, and I was like, you have to come back. You'll be back. No, I don't think so. Here he is.
Yeah, I'm not very good at retiring or slowing down, but
Never.
I felt like I would always come back and at least run a couple of races.
Yeah.
And 23 for me, I was trying to build out like a IndyCar, NASCAR, sports car, maybe a little off-road truck racing, build out just a cool schedule, marquee events. And as I started down the NASCAR road, this opportunity came about not only to drive but also be an owner. And I've really kind of let most of the other stuff fizzle out for now and really stay focused on this opportunity. There's just so much work to do, and we have a young, growing team. And, I'm excited for the opportunity to drive, but to also, help Eric, Noah, help grow this team and hopefully turn it into a powerhouse, 5 years from now.
When I met you in 2009 at Charlotte, we were with the NASCAR diversity program and rolling through. And you said something to our group that I've never forgotten and always held on. You said this sport is extremely, extremely hard. But if you put in the work, it'll reward you back. Do you still feel that now, or even more so now that you're coming back?
I do still feel that way and believe in it. How about you?
Oh absolutely. I get to hang out.
That's fantastic.
I mean, it's great. It's hard work. Don't get me wrong.
I thought I said something
great.
way stupider. So.
No, it's all, man, that helps me up. I love it.
Right on. No, I really do, live by that and believe that. I mean, my mom was a school bus driver. My dad was a heavy equipment operator. I got a phone call. I was living at home with my parents, and I got a phone call that said, look, if you're here in Charlotte, you can come drive our late model stock car at a local track. So I bought a one-way ticket in 1997, lived on couches, chased the dream, put in the time, and people saw it. And, that story ended up all coming together at the right time at Hendrick Motorsports and the right opportunity. And like I mentioned then, you put in the time, good things will happen.
Walk me through what this offseason has looked like, just making the transition to an owner now with Legacy Motor Club. And you guys did the New York City tour, and I know Noah Gragson never got a hot dog out there. He was so disappointed about that hot dog. But you're working with Eric Jones, Richard Petty, Noah Gragson, and you're kind of building this team and making sure that it continues its legacy for years to come. But what was the offseason like, just making sure you're dialing in, getting that ownership role right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been busy, and I'm trying to find where I think I can help the most. And, I have experience, of course, on the competition side, and I'd have to say I haven't spent as much time there as I really thought I would or want to. It's been so busy in the front office and rename, branding, sponsorship aspects that I have not been as active in the competition side as I would like or thought I would. But that being said, our competition department, every man and woman at Legacy Motor Club, they're just all so young, so talented, so eager to be a part of this team and its growth pattern. And the collaboration that's taking place, the culture we're creating, the energy in the shop, it's a lot of fun. We all sense that we're building something here together.
I've always felt like when our champions come back and become owners, because that used to be a big thing back in the day, right? Like people would go from driving to ownership, and then it changed a little bit. But having you back here and as an owner, I thought I'm so ecstatic about it, and to see you around the garage, who have you leaned on? Like, was it with Justin Marks? He wanted the car. He's like, this car is going to make it to where you can come in and be an owner. When did you start having these conversations about ownership?
I've been watching from afar the last 2 years with the mindset of the ownership group working on affordability, NASCAR trying to help and understand, and the collaboration between the two sides to create the next-gen car. When you go back a step further in the charter system coming about and watching the charter's initial trade value to where it is now, there's just a lot of factors that have been interesting to watch. And I had opportunities to become an owner with Mr. Hendrick back in the day through contract negotiations, but a lot of this framework I just spoke of wasn't around. And Rick even very kindly said, I'm not sure this is a good idea to take ownership. Like, I don't know if you're ever going to be able to enjoy what it accumulates to someday. So I declined at that point. So he was the first person I went to when I thought about ownership, just to get his opinion. But
it's a good man to go to.
It's a great man to go to. And the sport's trending in a very good direction for a lot of reasons. And I didn't want to miss an opportunity to be a part of where NASCAR is going to go. And here I am.
Well, you have some pressure-filled days coming up the next 2 days.
Yeah.
I don't know why we couldn't have changed the rules for Jimmie. He's a 7-time champion of the sport. He's won this race 2 times already. Can we not just, let him come race? But you have to qualify to make it into the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Only 4 spots available, and
yeah.
What's that going to be
It's
like?
stressful.
Just trying to get into this race.
Well, all the practice we had, I feel much better about our car.
Exactly.
I know exactly what's going to happen. So. I ran, like I'm sure everyone has, I jumped in the simulator at the GM Tech Center and ran through my laps. And it seems so simple, but so much can go wrong, and your upshifts and the launch off of pit road. And then on top of that, there's not a lot a driver can do here in qualifying. It's really what is done in the shop. So falling back on the great group that we have in our competition department, I feel like our restrictor plate program was one of the strengths, and certainly hope that Todd Gordon and I mentioned Todd's name, but Dave Ellens and Luke Lambert and the entire group. I go to the shop, and they're not just working on their cars. Like, literally, Dave and Luke and their folks are working on my car. So it's been a big collaboration, and I'm very appreciative for the effort.
That's what it is, though, right? Like, that's how you build a culture in a new place.
Absolutely.
Right? You want everyone to be together and pulling in the same direction. And that must be really special to know that you're coming in, and it's not like, we don't really know what Jimmie wants to do. No, Jimmie's pulling us forward.
You know, that's such a great point, because that is part of the excitement and the experience that I'm loving so much. If I just implanted myself in an established team and culture, I'm sure it'd be an amazing experience. Right. But it's just a different vibe, right? Yeah. So what we're doing right now, there is an energy about, you know, how small we are, how lean the team is, how collaborative we are, how much we all help one another. It just feels so different. It really is a cool experience.
We'll make this one short and sweet, but since we last saw you, you had 7 IMSA starts, 29 IndyCar starts, but you're going to be taking on a Garage 56 project coming up later this year. So you pumped about that?
So pumped. Le Mans is like the last thing standing on my bucket list, and to go with Hendrick Motorsports representing NASCAR, Chevrolet, super cool opportunity. And then 2 great friends that I get to share the car with, and then Jordan Taylor as well. So Mike Rockenfeller's a great friend, Jensen Button. Jordan, we keep calling him Coach because they only allow 3 drivers at Le Mans. We have a T-shirt for him as Coach.
Like the cock sitting back in the back just yelling at you guys.
It's been a lot of fun. And actually, I leave the 500, and we go and do a 24-hour simulation at Sebring next week with the car. So the testing schedule for that is quite intense.
Family's doing well? Girls are good?
They're doing awesome.
Great.
They'll be at a horse show Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and shoot up Sunday to catch Dad's race.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you back.
You.
The 7-time champion is returning and trying to qualify for the Daytona 500. So look for that tonight in qualifying and tomorrow in the duels. Thank you, JJ.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Great to see you. Thank you.
Hey, you too, Bo.
I can't believe I'm even having to say that. Where is Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell when you need him? Just give him a card. Let him race.
Man, but he's back.
I know.
He's back.
So
and it is cool because one thing that is super important, it is super important that our superstars have some type of ownership back in the space, right? So with Jimmie coming back, obviously, you know, Tony's been here, and then you got Justin Marks and, you know, guys like Kyle Busch that have owned stuff. And, you know, it's just great to see everybody really diving their hands into the community.
Well, funny that you say that name.
Which one?
It's like you say it and he appears. We are now going to be joined by the number 8 for Richard Childress Racing.
This man's dope.
He is a 2-time champion of our sport. The swagger hits a little different this year. And I just have to say that we're pretty pumped to see Rowdy Nation can also be pumped to see Mr. Kyle Busch. You're going to be in the number 8 this year. Old engine number 8.
Yeah, engine number 8, 8 ball. I don't know. I've heard a few of them so far. The Ocho.
I like it.
I like the Ocho.
Yeah.
That's like the new nickname. It's not El Ocho. It's the Ocho. Remember dodgeball?
Yeah. Dude,
if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
I gotta ask you. I saw a tweet. My buddy Landon Huffman threw it out after the clash. He goes. Does anyone else feel like at the end of this race they're pulling for Kyle Busch? And it was like a new feeling for him. And there's a bunch of people that thought that way. I've always been pulling for Kyle Busch. But do you feel like with the change that there's a shift in just how people are interacting with you a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, ever since I kind of announced the RCR piece and me going over there and racing with Richard Childress Racing, there's been a little bit of a changing of the guard. I think people are all kind of asking themselves the same question, like, do I find myself cheering for Kyle Busch? No. So, yeah, no, I've heard that a little bit, you know, and I rolled in this morning, and I was Harvick and we drove over from the short track across the state, and so we rolled in, and there was a motorhome that was down here, and it said, welcoming Kyle Busch to the Chevrolet Brigade. Make sure you stop on by, beer on us, you know, something like that. So,
man.
So I got to go over there, and I asked Kevin if he could give me a case of Busch Light. I'll BYO my OB.
All right, KV, so we know, and we're going to talk about Sunday and what this race means and trying to go after your first Daytona 500, but you guys showed a lot of promise over there at RCR with the Clash. It looks like the momentum and kind of where that program is and that organization is, this could be a really good year for RCR. Do you feel that way as a driver?
I do. I'm really excited about it. I think all of us are excited. The year's starting. It's like going back to school again and seeing everybody. But I'm at a school that I've never been at before,
Right,
so I'm learning a whole new group of people and faces. And
you're like the weird transfer kid.
Yeah, I am, exactly. I'm like, what do you do? What? Does he work here? So I'm still trying to figure all that out. But, no, it's been really great. And Austin, I think, has been a huge help to that because he's been so open-minded and, really kind of taking to the whole piece of me joining the team and coming over, some fresh ideas. He's been with RCR forever. Yeah. Since his Bandolero days. And, so it's kind of nice, I guess, to get a guy from the outside who's been successful in the sport as I have, but also someone, who's won a couple championships and one who's been at the same place for 15 years. We've been very successful where I've been. So it's nice to just kind of have all of that. And him and I, we communicate really well, talk really well, and we've been working great at the Coliseum. So hopefully all that pays dividends here again in Daytona.
I think it's probably because it's so long ago. People probably forget that Kyle was at Chevy first.
Yeah,
he was
exactly
there.
right.
So coming back, I'm sure some of the people that were there when you first started are gone. But is it kind of like a homecoming, just from a manufacturer standpoint?
A little bit. There's a couple guys there that are the same as when I was there the first time. One of them being Jim Campbell, who's the motorsports director. So, I really didn't have much dealings with him because as a young guy coming in, you're just trying to get your feet wet. You're just trying to race. All you want to do is race. You don't really care about anything outside. But as you get more seasoned and become a veteran, you start to understand the ins and outs of the sport and the nuances behind the scenes and who the people are and what they do and the clout that they have. And so, Jim and I, we've texted back and forth and talked a little bit over the off season and me being back with Chevy and coming back and sort of like coming back home again, and talking with a lot of the other Chevy guys as well too, Eric Warren, and then the upper management guys that we got to see at Chevy. Myself and Alexander Rossi went over there as kind of like a show them around and see everything and visit in Detroit, and that was really, really good and really cool. Got to see some cool stuff behind the scenes, so that was awesome.
Well, everybody always jokes about, you're going to walk to the wrong hauler. He's going to walk to the wrong place. He didn't, by the way. He tweeted out that he made it to the right hauler. But for Rowdy Nation, they are such a passionate.
I can't say that about the pit box.
I was about to ask you. I was going to ask
you
about that.
Yeah.
But Rowdy Nation is just such a passionate fan base, and they really have supported you throughout your whole entire career, and they are all in on Kyle Busch. What do you want them to do with the tattoos and all the gear?
I don't know. To me, M&M's is storied with Kyle Busch and NASCAR. We had so much success together, 2 championships. The number 18, it's not even here anymore. So to me, I would say wear it as a badge of honor. Obviously, to me, that is where Rowdy stemmed from. Yes, I started with Chevy in the 5, but then I was in the 18 for so long. And was the M&M's guy, the candy man. Now I'm the adult candy man. So it still works. I'm still the candy man. But I'm just, it's a new start. It's a fresh start. Maybe you can put the, 2008 to 2022
I like it.
below those tattoos,
okay,
so
yeah.
you can kind of, symbolize that era of what that was and how long that was. And now there's a new era. It starts with the new number 8. It's right there. On this side, and started with 2023.
With the sponsors, I don't know if Rowdy Nation is going to be hyped up on energy with Rowdy Energy, or they're just going to be blissful with the.
It's both.
You're gonna get both. It's a perfect marriage.
I actually had a person tell me one time they were hypersensitive. They're almost ADD, and they're like, I drank a Rowdy and it calmed me down. It was like reverse effect, and I'm like. You're not a sales tactic. Do not say that anywhere.
Keep buying it, but do not tell people that.
Yeah.
Man, so we were talking about Austin Bandoleros a minute ago. Braxton is still
killing it.
Yeah, is he changing his number too? How's that work?
Yeah, no. So we're kind of renting, borrowing, which now I think I just bought it because. He won the first day with his Bandolero, ever being in a Bandolero. And then yesterday he was leading or passing a kid. They were battling for the lead. He got spun out. The inside kid washed up into Brex. They spun. And then today he won, but came across the finish line getting dumped the other way.
No.
So he got hooked on the front stretch. So now the car needs a front and rear clip.
No.
So they're over there working on it right now. So I think I bought it.
You bought it.
I bought it.
It's easier that way.
So, it was the number 54. So it was just the house car that those guys had, and we were just racing it. now I bought it. So he'll probably put his number on it once we get back home.
Well, a lot of folks have maybe picked you to win on Sunday, and it's not a matter of if Kyle Busch wins the Daytona 500. A lot of us feel that it's win. So can this Sunday, with the new team, the new momentum, the new number on the side of the car, do you feel like Sunday is a good chance for you to check that box with the Daytona 500?
I would love to, absolutely. I mean, I come in here every year thinking there's no greater year than this year, but honestly, with a new fresh start and everything kind of going on, and with the powerhouse team that RCR has always kind of been known around the super speedway stuff, I would like to think that we've got a great shot of being able to do that. So I think it's been a little while, if I'm not mistaken, that a Chevy's won the Daytona 500. So it would be super, super nice and really cool to put ourselves in that spot and to be in victory lane on Sunday. So, I don't know. It's just kind of a new year, a new start, and everything going on around me with the number 8. And, look forward to working with the other Chevy guys that are out there on the racetrack.
A lot more teammates.
A lot more. Yes. I don't know if that gets better or worse.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's going to be easier to make them mad because you're going to jump out of line and go and do different things that you think that you need to be doing. And they might be somebody in front of you, and you're like, sorry, yeah. But it happens. So,
yeah.
So I did want to, before we let you go, I did want to ask that because you're changing a manufacturer. It's not just the team; it's manufacturer. So, like, when it comes to who you work with, do you think about that? Does that differ, or is like, no, we have such a good rapport? Like, I kind of need to stay with what I know. Like,
I don't know how that's going to work. I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know after.
I'll let you know. But you would like to think that the guys that you worked with before at Toyota would be good allies to be able to not rely on, but at least work well with.
Right.
So you have no idea what that's going to look like. I never trusted Denny when I was his teammate anyways. But, Truex.
Quote of the day right there.
Truex and I have always been good, so I think Christopher will be helpful. Until the last lap, right?
Yeah,
It's every
yeah,
man for himself on that. But I think Christopher will be helpful. But then when you get to the Chevy guys, it's like, okay, are these guys going to remember, now I'm in a bow tie? And, Chase was always okay. Him and I ran well together for some of the speedway races in the last couple of years. William Byron, I always try to think I can rely on the KBM alum.
Yeah.
You should be able to.
But then you get into these races and you're like,
No,
that
bro.
butthead. Like, I was going to say something else.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
He got himself.
didn't I bring him into this sport? Didn't I teach him like half of the stuff he already knows? Like,
Yeah.
and you want to do me like that? It's like, come on, man.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
we're excited for this new chapter for you.
Thank
and
you.
hopefully it will just kick things off with the Harley J. Earl
That's
Trophy.
right. That would be a fantastic start. So looking forward to that. Thank you.
All right.
Oh,
yeah.
Speaking of retirement that people don't do, he's back out of retirement for the Xfinity series.
That's right, with college racing.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There
yeah.
you go.
So looking
Had to
forward to
mention.
getting back. I told Matt Colleague when we were doing my whole, tour around talking to everybody during where I was going to go, race cup cars again. I unfortunately had to call him and tell him, I'm going to race for you. It's just not going to be on Sunday. If you'll have me on your Xfinity program, I'd love to come over there and help out. And so I feel like they're right on the brink of being the number one team over there. So I'd love to be able to carry them to that next level. So hopefully we can do that and have some wins and go trophy hunting.
All right, 5 races. Make sure and mark them on your calendar for Colleague Racing. But in the NASCAR Cup Series, he will now be in the number 8 for Richard Childress Racing. Good luck this week.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, we're going to have
Thank
him
you,
hop
guys.
out.
Got it.
We'll keep it rolling here at Daytona 500 Media Day in the 500 Club. I can just you can feel it. It's intense here. You can already tell that the season is starting, and looking forward to continuing our show here with the 2020 champion. He's finished top 10 in the last 2 Daytona 500s. He is the 5th consecutive most popular driver. Do I need to keep going, or have you guys figured it out yet? The number 9 for Hendrick Motorsports. Chase Elliott is here on our Daytona 500 Media Day show. Welcome back to Daytona.
Glad to be here.
You ready to get the season going?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. It really was cool. I came in last night, and there's a lot of campers and people here. People here already hanging out. So I like that. I think that's cool, and I tell people all the time. I feel like when the energy level is high and there's people here, they care. I think it makes it more fun for all of us, whether you're a driver, whether you're working in the industry, whatever it may be. So. Love to see it. Love to smell those campfires, and good to be back.
It's just one of those things because you know what you're doing. People care about, right? If
Yeah.
they're packing in on a Wednesday,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
taking off work and just to be around the environment. Let me ask you, when you had your first Daytona experience and you came to the track as a driver, not as a kid, because as a kid you would probably hear a lot, but as a driver, does this feel different? You're like, wow, man, we're here.
Yeah, a little, I guess, here and there. I mean, I think for for me, I came to the track. I came here when I was a kid, coming and watching Dad race there for a little while, and then later in his career when he was running part-time some. And I've always enjoyed coming down here. As a kid, I really enjoyed, to be honest, I enjoyed the July 4th race more.
Yeah.
I thought it was more fun as a kid.
Yeah.
It was exciting.
It's the beach for the week.
It was a night race, and you got to come to the beach for, during the summer. So it was super cool. And school was out, right? So, as I've gotten older and have been a part of the sport for a few years now, I certainly, this race is special and it's different and it's not. It doesn't have the same vibe as the rest of them. It doesn't. This race almost feels like a single event. It doesn't to me sometimes feel like our season's starting. It's like, okay, this is the Daytona 500, and then we'll get started after, right? But it's like I said, it's always exciting to be here. This racetrack and this facility and this area has been a large piece of my childhood and growing up, and I guess just my life in general. I've pretty much been coming down here for a long time, so enjoy being here.
You were the youngest to ever win the Daytona 500 pole at age 20 back in 2016, and Hendrick Motorsports it might as well today be called Media Day and then Hendrick Day later tonight because, it's been Hendrick on the front row in the last 8 Daytona 500s. So let's do a little inside baseball here. What makes Hendrick so good at qualifying at this racetrack?
That's a good question. I mean, I think there's a few pieces of that puzzle. One, every time we qualify, we run really bad. So I'm not so sure that we want that.
It's been a long time since the pole winner has won the Daytona 500.
But I think for us, we've had some really fast cars down here those years. I think one of the years we got the pole there in 17 was probably one of our best cars. I think I probably wrecked that year too. So a few of those years were self-inflicted. But I think there's a few pieces of the puzzle to answer your question. One, I think the engine shop is extremely talented, and I think they're really diligent and one of the best in the business. And they put a lot of effort in. And same goes with the aero department and the people mounting the bodies and just making sure every little fine detail is perfect. And that's what qualifying well here takes. And everything's got to be perfect. Everything has to be just that down to the exact final little touch, and they put a lot of emphasis on it, and they're really proud of it, and it means a lot to the boss. And I think because of that, it's gone well. So we want to qualify good. That's good and great. Me personally, I don't really care. I want to race good, and that's where my emphasis is. But tonight is really it's a reflection of the men and women that work at the shop, the work that they put in throughout the winter. And that, to me, is something to be proud of. It doesn't have as much to do with the driver or things of that nature to me, but it is a reflection of them. And I think because of that, it's meaningful.
You talk about wanting your car to race well. What are you looking for out of your car, throughout the race? Like, what do you want to be able to do? Some cars are obviously good pushers. Some are better out front. Like, which end of that spectrum are you usually shooting for?
Yeah, I want to be on offense. And typically the people who are on offense are able to push, and they're able to be that person in the row that is like that early in the race. You're established as that car that if he's behind me, I'm likely going forward. And when people start picking you out of a group of 4 or 5 or 6, and you're bettering that person's odds of getting to the front, you're bettering your odds of being in a good position when it matters. To me, it's about being on offense. I don't want to be dependent upon somebody to get me there. I want to be the person to do it. And that to me is what separates guys like Ryan and Denny and these guys who continuously win these races and put themselves in good positions. If you watch, they're always on offense. They're never relying on somebody else. And that to me is the difference. If you can find a way not to wreck, between the beginning and that point too.
We always say that winning this race is career changing. You check the box of being a champion in this sport back in 2020, but for a driver, what exactly does it mean to win this race? Why is this race so different than all the other ones?
I've never done it, so I don't know, but I think this is just one of those races that it's one of those events that when you finish your career, you want to look back and say that you have won. And I think it's just it's a when people think of NASCAR, they think of the Daytona 500, right? You know, I don't love the analogy of being the Super Bowl. I don't like that. That's not accurate at all, in my opinion. But it is a great event. It's a big event, and it's an event that has had a major impact on the sport's history. Not sure NASCAR would be what it is today without the Daytona 500. So I think because of those things, you have a large respect for it and a lot of admiration for the people who have won it. But when I think about the race and what makes me really respect the race more than anything is looking at the list of great drivers who haven't won it. And that, to me, really puts it in perspective. And you could do everything perfect, and this will not go your way. So you definitely have to have some good fortune, but the people who consistently put themselves in good spots are going to have more chances than others.
Yeah, I would say that the Clash is a NASCAR event because it's, we're excited, we're back. Daytona 500 is NASCAR spectacle. That it's just it's at a whole different type of level.
It is
when you come here. And speed weeks, right? I mean, you go down to New Smyrna and it's always fun, and it's just that whole thing. Are you gonna make it out to some other? Are you gonna race this week?
No, I'm not racing. I watched last night though. They had a super late model race down there last night. I didn't go, but I was watching here and saw William won that one again, so that was cool.
Back.
Yeah, so I don't have any plans to race this week, but I'm doing the truck race deal Friday. So, I got qualifying tonight, duels tomorrow.
Busy week.
Truck race Friday, and then I guess we have a little practice on Saturday, and then obviously get down to the real stuff Sunday.
You haven't been in a truck in a while, have you?
No, I ran. Did I run last year? I can't remember. It feels like I ran somewhere last year. Yeah, I ran the dirt race at Bristol last year, and then prior to that, probably been a while before then. So, not sure what I think about doing that one, but Jake and them asked me if I would do it, so I couldn't tell them no, and appreciate them thinking of me and asking to help out. He turns 18 next week, so kind of sucks for him. I hate that he can't do it. So appreciate them asking. Happy to help, and hopefully we can get that team started off on the right foot for a solid season.
Last but not least, before we let you go, your dad will be one of the grand marshals.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, pretty
That's
cool,
what
huh?
I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a legend in the sport.
Yeah, that's what I saw. He, I'm sure he's gonna really enjoy that.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Are you
it'd be
gonna
great.
go videotape it, or you got to be
somebody will
supportive.
get it on camera,
Oh,
surely, right?
come on.
Yeah,
I hope so.
someone will get it. Yeah.
How am I gonna video it?
I don't know. Run out there, he did when you guys would sing.
The Grand
at
Marshal
Bristol.
is like when
Yeah.
you start the car up,
Yeah.
right? So
Well,
how am
can't
I
you
going to
just
video
have-
it
I
and then
don't
get
know.
back in?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We just gotta have somebody supporting Bill,
Oh, my mom will have that
Okay,
covered.
good. All right.
We'll be good.
We'll handle Cindy.
You,
All right.
how you think he'll nail it though, right?
Of course he will.
Well,
There's a bunch of them.
The good news is it's not just him.
Yeah. Okay.
So
you got some help.
yeah, you got help.
Collectively, yeah.
You got help. Yeah, you don't want to. That would be a lot of pressure. If you're the solo Grand Marshal for the Daytona 500, that would be a pretty big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like it's good. You have 4 or 5 people in there. If you mess up, nobody's gonna know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be cheering for him.
He's fine.
I'm pumped.
He's good.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of Daytona 500 Media Day. Good luck this week.
Appreciate
We'll
it.
see you at all the events coming up.
Y'all have fun.
All right. We're going to let
Enjoy.
Chase end our Daytona 500 Media Day coverage. But before we let you go and we kick off the official start of Speed Weeks in our mind, the races and the action on track get started tonight. Mamba, what are you most excited for this week?
Oh man, I am. Honestly, it's the fans. It is the fans. I enjoy seeing all the fans here. It's 160,000 just of the
More
best.
than that.
Yeah, where are we at now?
You cannot get in the door. We are sold
Standing
out of
room only.
everything
Standing room
at
only.
the Daytona 500. Infield sold out, fan zone sold out, campground sold out. It's the fastest sellout in the modern era, and it is the 8th consecutive season that it is sold out.
And shout out to y'all for coming out, because that's what it's about. We're a community. We need to do stuff together, and this is doing it together for sure.
I cannot wait to see everybody. This is NASCAR's 75th anniversary, so we're going to celebrate the past of the sport. We're going to celebrate the present of the sport. We're also going to be celebrating the next 75 years, and you guys have made that all happen for us. We cannot wait for this season. and everything that we have geared up. But Speed Weeks, let's redo the schedule. I have to have my notes here because it's a lot for you to tune in if you're a race fan this week. Tonight at 8:15 Eastern is the Busch Light Pole qualifying. We will set the front row for the Daytona 500. That action kicks off on FS1 and MRN. Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's dual time. One of the most intense nights we have at Daytona.
It's just different.
It hits different. Under the lights, that'll be on FS1 and MRN with dual 2 following directly after the first duel. Friday, it's the Craftsman Truck Series race at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. That's on FS1, radio broadcast on MRN. Saturday is the Xfinity Series race, 5 p.m. Eastern, FS1, MRN. Sunday, do I even need to do it? If you're not setting your calendar alarm already for Sunday, it's the Great American Race, the 65th annual running of the Daytona 500, 2:30 p.m. on Fox. MRN and Sirius XM will also have the coverage if you're listening on radio.
You crushed that.
I
nailed it.
Got my notes. All right, make sure and tune in to all the action. We'll see you tonight at qualifying. Thanks so much for tuning in to Daytona 500 Media Day here in the 500 Club. And now let's check out the sights and sounds from Daytona.
Every seat, every infield space sold out for the Daytona 500.
I would take all 19 of my other wins and trade those in for one Daytona 500. That's how much the Daytona 500 means to all of us as drivers. This is the biggest race of the year in front of the biggest stage. All the fans are here, all the OEMs, all your partners are here for the biggest race and the first race of the season. This is the big show.
Great day to have a race, but it's a damn good day to get us a dub. First time we get to go to battle together, really excited for that. Let's start it off good today, nice and smooth. Get this year rolling, appreciate it. Good points, Daytona 500, the special one.
Drivers, start your engine!
And the 64th Daytona 500 is underway. Caution number 2 in the Daytona 500 at lap 52. On the back straightaway takes out William Byron, Kyle Busch, and Harrison Burton. Harvick, and it's a 7-car jam session. Think this race is in Ryan Blaney's hands? Well, let's find out. It's overtime. Cindric way up high to block Ryan Blaney, and at the line.
He did it. Holy crap! Yeah! I love you guys! Holy cow! Boy, I'm mad, but I love y'all. Appreciate it. Hell of a way to start the season.